Lo que vivimos ayer fue una verdadera barbaridad. Más de 200 muertos en el Líbano en el plazo de 10 minutos. En tan solo 10 minutos cayeron 160 bombas, según las fuentes en el Líbano, del bombardeo por cuenta de Israel. Aún está en investigación, dicen portavoces que están por hallar si en medio de este bombardeo cayó el comandante, el líder máximo de Hezbollah. Teresita Aya, buenos días, nuestra analista internacional.
Juan Camilo, buenos días.
Voy a saludar en este momento, tengo el gusto de saludar desde Beirut, allí en el Líbano, nos atiende muy amablemente.
I can't hear them.
¿Ahí nos está escuchando?
Dice que no puede oírnos.
Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay.
Nos atiende Lynn Harfouch, es miembro del Comité Ejecutivo del Bloque Nacional del Líbano. Teresita, salude a nuestra invitada hoy.
Hello again, Mrs. Harfouch. A pleasure to have you once more in Noticias Caracol en vivo.
Hello, I am very happy to be with you.
Y arranquemos preguntándole, Teresita, por lo que pasó ayer. ¿Cómo ella describe lo que pasó en su país en la tarde de los bombardeos?
We were saying that we're all shocked here by what happened in Lebanon yesterday. The massive attack, the bombing. How did you live through it? How does Lebanon live through it?
Unfortunately, Lebanon faced a very rough day yesterday. Despite everything that has happened and all the horror that the Lebanese people have been living for the past weeks, yesterday was even harder. Israel carried out a major operation with more than 100 strikes against all Lebanese regions. This meant that there was no safe area, even though before it was only attacking areas which were strongholds of Hezbollah. This, unfortunately, caused more than 300 civilians dead and more than 1,000 people injured and mass displacement and mass destruction. So it has been a very rough period. Right now, there are new evacuation alerts being spread by the Israeli army. The people of Lebanon are still paying the price of the war that they did not choose, and the Israeli aggression is only getting tougher.
Dice que ha sido uno de los días más terribles en la historia del Líbano, en donde hubo más de 300 muertos. Israel atacó sitios que no necesariamente eran los lugares tradicionales donde se sabe que vive la gente de Hezbollah, sino sitios donde hay libaneses, generando miles de heridos y sobre todo, nuevamente, miles de desplazados.
Claro, nunca hubo un aviso de evacuación. Me llama mucho la atención eso, ¿no? Y ella, ¿qué opina de este modus operandi?
There was never an evacuation sign, a siren that went off. Were you warned about the attacks before, or they just came?
No, yes. There was no evacuation alerts yesterday, and specifically not to the areas that were affected, especially that it was done across all Lebanese regions. Unfortunately, what happened is that the Israeli Prime Minister announced at 6 a.m. that Lebanon was not included in the ceasefire. And afterwards, the spokesperson of the IDF announced again that Lebanon is not included in the ceasefire deal. But then the strikes happened. And the IDF claims that these strikes were all targeted towards specific leadership figures in the militia Hezbollah. However, this does not justify the great destruction and the casualties that were caused by these attacks. There has not been yet announced who was clearly targeted, but in reality, what was lost was more than 300 innocent lives who were living in peace, were living in their homes, in most of them in Beirut, in the heart of the capital, which is an area that was not supposed to be attacked and which is not a stronghold of Hezbollah.
This is going to sound horrible to say, but in a way, the fact that Iran is not able to attack anyone because of the truce, the so-called ceasefire, if it holds, it kind of protected Lebanon because Israel knew that if it attacked Lebanon, Iran would do something to them. But if Iran is constrained by the peace accord and Israel is not, then Lebanon is in the middle in a very harsh situation.
I refuse to think that Iran at a certain point protected us. What Iran did was actually drag us into its war and its regional conflict. Over the past weeks, Israel has also been attacking Lebanon, and we have lost many civilian lives. However, yesterday's attack, yes, it was different in density and in the amount of casualties it has caused and in the regions that it affected. But that is not because Israel is no longer afraid of Iran attacking it whatsoever. It is because Israel now has more time and resources to allocate to its war against Hezbollah and to ending this militia. What is the worst in all of this is that the people that are paying the price are Lebanese citizens and their homes, where Iran has negotiated a deal, and it is only logical that a country does what is best in its national interest. Lebanon is left on the side, and Hezbollah still has its control over many aspects of the Lebanese state, which are preventing it from implementing its decision to completely disarm and dismantle this Iranian proxy in Lebanon. So in reality, Iran dragged Lebanon into the war, and it did not include it in its peace plan. And Hezbollah is yet on this ground causing more conflict and more casualties on the Lebanese lives.
Dice que frente a la pregunta de las evacuaciones, no hubo ninguna alerta, no los evacuaron, no avisaron, no hubo absolutamente nada que previera esto que, repite ella, fueron más de 300 muertes de personas inocentes, sobre todo en el corazón de Beirut. Atacaron sitios no solamente en el sur del país, como venían haciéndolo, sino atacaron y hirieron gravemente la infraestructura y la gente en la capital del país. Esto en parte porque, ya viene la segunda pregunta, porque con el cese al fuego que se acordó entre Irán y Estados Unidos, Irán, de alguna manera le pregunté que si al estar Irán amarrado por el cese al fuego de alguna manera, dejaba libre a Israel para hacer lo que quisiera en el Líbano sin pensar que tenía que preocuparse por los ataques de respuesta por parte de Irán. Y es una pregunta perversa, estoy de acuerdo con ella, porque es imposible pensar que el Líbano tenga que depender de un país como Irán, con el que les ha patrocinado el terrorismo interno para su defensa, que ella prefiere ponerlo del otro lado. Israel se siente libre de atacar al Líbano porque sabe que nadie va a defender al Líbano y que la culpa la tiene Israel y que todo esto, el problema nuevamente es Hezbollah, el corazón del problema es Hezbollah, que sigue controlando gran parte de la política y decisiones del país. Y por eso todas las iniciativas para el desarme de Hezbollah no han dado frutos, están siendo obstaculizadas por ellos mismos.
¿Qué tan posible, a raíz de esa pregunta, Teresita, ve ella un alto al fuego en el Líbano? Irán lo ha puesto como con unas condiciones, The Wall Street Journal lo informó ayer, pero ¿qué tan posible realmente ve ese alto al fuego en el Líbano?
Many are calling for the ceasefire to include Lebanon, to make Lebanon part of the ceasefire, because you are in the middle of the war and it's not fair. You were dragged into it, as you said. How possible is it? What does Lebanon need to do to be included in the ceasefire?
Lebanon needs to negotiate its own deal, not based on the Iranian deal or on the Iranian negotiations. And this is specifically important because if we accept that we end the war based on Iranian negotiations, then we are accepting that Iran drags us again and controls our peace and war deal. We have been calling for the state to take all the diplomatic action that is needed with the concerned parties and to negotiate an immediate ceasefire, which is a first step towards a longer peace plan, which is a first step towards a longer political solution to end this conflict. We need to make sure that the Israelis are going to fully withdraw from all of our Lebanese land and stop their aggression. And at the same time, we need to make sure that the Lebanese state has dismantled Hezbollah and disarmed it so that we can no longer be dragged into war and so that Iran no longer has its militia operating on Lebanese land. Only this way can we establish a long-term deal and a long-term peace that does not put the Lebanese over and over again in a vicious loop of finding themselves losing more lives and being displaced from their homes.
Thank you. And one more question. Last time we talked a lot about displaced people in Lebanon. These new attacks you mentioned at the beginning are creating newly displaced people. Where can they go now? How? Because it's a horrible situation.
In reality, the government has been opening public shelters, but of course that is not enough because the number of displaced people is very big. And there are more affected areas right now by these strikes, which means greater displacement. People are sleeping on the streets, people are sleeping on the sidewalks, and we are in the middle of a humanitarian crisis and of a big social issue that is being caused by this displacement. This is why putting an end to this war is even more urgent than ever, so people can get back to their homes.
Gracias. Juan Camilo dice en la primera pregunta que cómo tienen que hacer para realmente separarse de Irán y tener un cese al fuego, un tratado que sea de ellos, del Líbano. Dice que es lo más importante, que el tratado que se firme no sea que los incluyan a ellos dentro del tratado que ya tiene Irán con Estados Unidos o posiblemente Israel con Irán, sino uno independiente en el que sea Líbano el país el que firme el tratado, porque no pueden seguir siendo arrastrados a las guerras por cuenta de Irán o de Israel, sino que tienen que tener sus propias decisiones, que ella lo que aboga y lo que piden muchos es un tratado que firme el Líbano independientemente con Israel, el Líbano pero nada que ver con Irán o con Hezbollah. Entender que Hezbollah no es el Líbano, pero eso es un trabajo que tiene muchos retos y muchos obstáculos y está haciéndole mucho daño a la gente. Por lo que le pregunté entonces por el tema de desplazados nuevamente después de los bombardeos de ayer, porque ya lo habíamos hablado en alguna ocasión y dijo que era un drama, sobre todo en el sur del país. Dice que ahora los refugios, los pocos refugios que había para esta gente que venía del sur, no dan abasto para los desplazados del propio corazón del país que están moviéndose, que la gente está durmiendo en la calle y que realmente la situación es no solo de crisis humanitaria, sino una crisis social muy fuerte, sino un gobierno que tenga herramientas para responder porque está maniatado por la guerra y por Hezbollah.
Teresita, ¿le podemos solicitar a alguien que nos describa el sitio del desastre, que nos describa los sitios donde cayeron las bombas? ¿Cómo están en este momento? ¿Cómo se ven? ¿Cómo los puede describir?
You probably know very well the places where the bombing took place yesterday. Can you tell us about before and after, what happened in these places, what the destruction looks like, and what the results of the destruction might be?
The pictures your channels are showing are very good examples of the destruction that has been caused. Full buildings have been brought to the ground on top of families. Up until this moment, all the authorities have been trying to rescue more children from under the rubble. There was a very symbolic scene of a woman who was stuck in her house after half of the building was fell, and she was in shock, unable to move, and the people were unable to rescue her because there was no way of reaching to her floor. There were restaurants, there were cafes, there were public stores that were brought to the ground. And this is a strike that happened in the middle of the day. So it was at a time where there were a lot of people on the ground, there were a lot of people on the street in really populated areas of the city of Beirut. Cars have been destroyed, streets have been destroyed, and entire buildings have been brought to the ground on top of entire families. What was done yesterday was a very big massacre in all terms, and Lebanese people paid the price, and people died, and no one felt that it was a safe area. It was a very sad day for Beirut. But this is exactly why we need the international community to react as fast as possible to put an end to this war. We know there is a responsibility on the Lebanese government in terms of taking care of Hezbollah as a militia inside Lebanon, but this does not justify, not for a second, the hideous crime that was done yesterday and which caused more than 300 civilians dead.
What would be, how could the Lebanese government take care of the militia? Are there any issues that they have or?
Well, what happened today is actually that the Lebanese government decided to disarm all of the Beirut area by massive deployment of the Lebanese army. And this is good in theory, but it is not enough. What needs to happen is a major operation where all the Lebanese military forces, the official ones, actually reclaim the country from the holding of Hezbollah. There's Beirut's southern suburb. There are many institutions that are for Hezbollah, and there are major figures in Hezbollah who are leaders, who are not only leading the Hezbollah's military action, but they are also leading campaigns of enticing on internal conflict against the state. And it is very important that the Lebanese state arrests these people and proves to all the other Lebanese people who did not choose this war that it can protect them. What happened yesterday is a major breakthrough where people who were living in safe areas and who had constantly been betting on the state and on the government to protect them, they have started to lose hope. The Lebanese authorities, represented by the Prime Minister and by the President, need to make sure that the Lebanese armed forces are implementing the political decisions which have been made and which all fall within the disarming and the dismantling of Hezbollah institutions. And there is no other way that we can make sure that we are protecting Lebanese citizens from both Hezbollah and the Israeli aggression. And there is no other way that we can gain international community's trust and gain back our credibility to start a longer negotiation and peace plan.
I have one more question regarding what you just said. And I apologize first before I make the question. But you're describing sort of a civil war. Almost a civil war is needed to get rid of Hezbollah in Lebanon?
No, it's not. This is exactly what Hezbollah has been trying to promote. Hezbollah has been trying to promote that any confrontation that happens with its militants is a civil war. But in reality, what we are asking for is for the Lebanese armed forces, which are the sole legitimate armed forces of Lebanon, to go and arrest the militants that take their orders from Tehran. This is not a civil war. This is basically the rule of law. We are asking the Lebanese armed forces to implement the law and protect more than 70% of Lebanese citizens who do not believe that Hezbollah is protecting them, no, who believe that Hezbollah is a militia that is constantly threatening them. Hezbollah has been threatening the other communities with civil war and that it will be coming for them after its war with Israel is done, and this is very dangerous. In reality, not confronting Hezbollah militants is what will cause the civil war, because the other communities of Lebanon are going to feel that they have no choice but to protect themselves and arm themselves and perhaps go fight Hezbollah militants on their own. And anyways, we can see that when members of Hezbollah try to go and live in buildings in areas that are not supposed to be Hezbollah strongholds, there has been a lot of internal strife that is happening where these communities feel they need to protect themselves and make sure that their building does not become a targeted building. So there has been some internal conflict that is happening. This is not acceptable. Leaving the communities to face each other is not acceptable. What needs to happen is that the Lebanese armed forces need to claim responsibility and need to be the ones that are protecting all the Lebanese regions by making sure that Hezbollah militants are not hiding among civilians and by making sure that the dismantling of Hezbollah institutions is actually underway.
Thank you. Muchas cosas frente a lo que se vivió ayer. Dice que los ataques literalmente fueron una masacre, fue la palabra que usó. Dice que las fotos que estamos mostrando se quedan cortas, son muy buenas, pero que se quedan cortas en mostrar lo que era un área muy popular, muy comercial, llena de almacenes, de cafés, que fue atacada a una hora pico, en donde la mayoría de la gente va a ese sitio. Entonces atacaron en una hora pico una zona muy congestionada y por eso el alto número de muertes, que eso debería estar prohibido y está prohibido por el derecho internacional, por todas las reglas de las guerras, pero desafortunadamente el gobierno, las fuerzas legítimas del gobierno del Líbano no se enfrentan a Hezbollah de la manera como deberían o podrían hacerlo para generar credibilidad y proteger a la gente, que es el trabajo de ellos. Porque Hezbollah les tocaría más o menos pelear con milicias en todo el país, y esto generaría, fue la pregunta que le hice, usted está hablando de que esto puede generar una guerra civil. Y me dice, esa es la narrativa que usa Hezbollah para que no los ataquen. Si nos atacan, volvemos esto una guerra civil dentro del Líbano. Pero no es una guerra civil, es una guerra en la que tiene que salir fortalecidas las fuerzas legítimas del ejército libanés, que tienen que prevalecer sobre una milicia ilegítima y terrorista como puede ser Hezbollah. Tienen que extirparlos de lo que es nuestra vida. Es un trabajo difícil, pero si no lo hacen, no vamos a tener nunca ni el respeto de la comunidad internacional, ni la credibilidad y respeto de nuestra propia gente, y por el contrario vamos a ver grupos armados que se están empezando a crear entre los ciudadanos que ya no tienen cómo defenderse frente a Hezbollah por la falta de acción del gobierno.
Pues Teresita, agradezcale mucho a nuestra invitada Harfoush. Como siempre es un placer escucharla.
Harfoush, again, thank you so much for being with us, and our thoughts and our solidarity again are with you.
Thank you very much.